I use my kids who have grown up with Gru as sort of a barometer for what Gru sounds like.
And they're like, yeah, Dad, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Little deeper.
Little deeper, but really they don't care. They just want me to get
To
out
go.
of the house.
Steve, it's been great to follow the story of Gru all these years. A character who constantly fights against the inevitability of his own goodness. And part of his motivation to be good or a better person always comes from the love he feels for his daughters and Lucy. However, his world changes with the arrival of the new member of the family, and as Guru feels nothing but love for this baby, but faces a struggle to win the affection of his son. You're a parent, you understand this situation better, and surely other parents in the world could identify with all of this. But I want to ask you, what caught your attention the most about this new film, and what do you think was the biggest challenge of giving voice to Guru once again?
I think the biggest challenge, well, consistency is a challenge because you want Gru to sound like he's always sounded. So I use my kids who have grown up with Gru as sort of a barometer for what Gru sounds like. And so I'll always run it by them before I go into my first recording session and kind of make sure that they're on board with it.
And they're like, yeah, Dad, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Little deeper.
Little deeper, but really they don't care. They just want me to get
To
out
go.
of the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think so much of his evolution as a character has had to do with love and family, and I think you're right about him fighting against that natural impulse to be a good person, which I think is just a funny way to define a character. Someone who wants desperately to be evil, but he can't escape the goodness inside of him.
Edith, she lies all the time.
No, I don't.
See?
Kristen, Lucy became one of the most beloved characters in Despicable Me. In the last films, we have seen her way because through all these films, she went from working with Gru to now becoming a mother of 4 children. She is an expert at protecting her loved ones, but beyond her role as her mother, in this fourth film, we see her facing new challenges personally that confront her with the unknown and take her out of her element. But taking all this into account, what do you consider to be the biggest lesson you have learned from Lucy during this time?
Well, she's very adaptable, no matter what, and positive. I think most people, if they're told they have to leave their house and change their names and give their children new names and leave their profession, she saw that she had to be very positive for her kids, and I think that's a quality of Lucy that I really, really like. And I think even in the other films, when Gru would struggle with things, she helped him believe in himself, and that's always nice to play, and a positive person who's trying to help people get through things. And I think especially now being a mom, it's just nice seeing her in that role now with a new baby, trying to help Gru Jr. bond with Gru. And yeah, it's just sort of it's a nice positive character to play. I love it.
Yes, of course he loves you. He just doesn't show it on his face.
Miranda, I think many of us identify with Margo because we have seen her grow up for so many years and go through different stages of adolescence. Now, in this movie, grow up. In this movie, she has to adapt to a new situation, entering a new school and exploring other friendship and peer dynamics. However, I have always thought that one of her greatest virtues to get ahead of any situation she faces is her resilience. And I know it could be complicated, but after so many years lending your voice to this character, what does Margo represent to you, and what satisfaction does playing her give you?
I think even when Margo struggles, she always has a real, kind of quiet strength to her, and I really like that about the character. She's pretty confident in herself, even when she's having a hard time, like in this movie with going to a new school and taking on a new identity. I also was excited to play the part this time around because when I was little, I remember I was so nervous to go to middle school, like to make the transition from elementary school to middle school. I don't know why that really like made
It
me
is scary.
so nervous.
Middle school's scary.
It's a little scary. So yeah, I definitely related to her.
Well, I found the story of Maxim very interesting. A villain who initially appears with a certain air of superiority, but behind that mask and appearance, there is an extremely insecure person. However, he uses that vulnerability as motivation, as a kind of strength to take down Gru and everything he loves. But what do you think about this insecurity behind Maxim? What did you enjoy the most about playing it?
I think, well, I really enjoyed getting to lean into such a silly accent, you know, such a broad, over-the-top expression for this character was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think you really touch upon something that it's funny that, yes, Max, he's seeking vengeance, but he's really just looking ultimately for acceptance. You know, that he felt embarrassed as a young kid, and now he just wants to be a part of the club, which I think all of us can relate to that on some level. We've all had moments where we felt like we're on the outside, and he's still in search of that.
It's always something. I can never focus on just being evil.
So I must confess that one of the new characters in this movie, my favorite new character in this movie was Poppy. At first, I thought she would just be the teenage neighbor who bullies the adults, you know? But I was surprised by the plot twist as she revealed herself to be Gru's biggest fan. However, I find it interesting that as she lives with her idol and she learns more about his life, she begins to question the idea that she has of becoming a villain. But I want to ask you, what was it like to build this character? Have you ever been in a situation like Poppy's? You know, you meet someone you admire and it completely changed your perspective on what you want to do in life?
That's a great question. You know, there's been, I mean, first of all, Poppy, so I do love that she meets Gru and admires him so much, and that's why she is blackmailing him into helping her because she loves him. And I just love that she has a lot of heart. I think that she reminds me of Gru in the way where, like, she wants to be a supervillain, and she probably will be a great one, but she will always have a good heart, just like Gru. But it is interesting that you phrase it that way, because yes, I'm sure there has been many moments that are memorable for me where I've met somebody that I admire, and just learning more about their experiences and their humanness, you know, in whatever field they're in or whatever things they've gone through, that definitely open your eyes and give you a different perspective. And I think it's really cool to relate that kind of universal, relatable, real life experience to the film, because you're right, Poppy does go through that where she's like, you know, she really grows to think Gru's like a great guy, and she's like, oh, I'm gonna soften up on him and go easier on him because he's really cool.
Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations for this movie. I really enjoy it. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.